The factory floor trembled from the weight of failure long before anyone said a word. Sparks hissed from the towering prototype engine like tiny angry fireflies. Technicians scrambled with extinguishers, and the room smelled of burnt wires and disappointment. Right there, amid the chaos, humiliation, and millions of dollars going up in smoke, stood a single dad named Arvin Hale, staring at the machine he wasn't supposed to touch. Moments earlier, the CEO had laughed at him in front of the entire engineering department, smirking as he said the words that would echo in Arvin's bones for years. "If you're such a genius, then fix it. Go ahead. 30 of my engineers couldn't." And in the next breathtaking seconds, Arvin did something no one expected, something that would change every life in that room. If you believe in second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindora Life. Your support helps bring stories like this to life. Arvin hadn't planned to end up here. Life shoved him into this moment the same way grief had shoved him into single fatherhood 3 years earlier. He was once a senior technician, respected for his uncanny mechanical intuition. But fate tore apart everything when his wife, Mira, collapsed unexpectedly one spring morning. The hospital bills crumpled his finances, the grief shattered his confidence, and the need to be both father and mother consumed every remaining corner of his life. He left his career behind to take care of his daughter, Ariel, a soft-voiced 8-year-old with storm blue eyes and a habit of squeezing his hand twice whenever she was scared. The world expected him to move on. Instead, he simply kept moving. Now he was a temporary worker at Zenith Core Industries, packing boxes and sweeping floors, far below his former skill level, but just enough to keep the lights on at home. The prototype engine, however, had been his secret obsession from afar. Every time he wheeled his mop across the testing hall, he watched the engineers' frantic attempts to resurrect the temperamental machine designed to power an entirely new line of eco-vehicles. It was brilliant and flawed, ambitious and fragile, like someone who had been broken but still wanted to be useful. Maybe that was why Arvin understood it so well. That morning, he paused again, watching sparks spit from the device. He didn't mean to speak, but the sight tugged something familiar inside him, and he muttered, almost too quietly to hear, "The timing coil is out of sync." Unfortunately, the CEO, Ronald Wexler, overheard. Ronald was the kind of man whose polished suit reflected exactly how polished he thought his success made him. He turned with a sneer, eyeing Arvin as though he were a stain on the floor rather than a human being. "Oh?" Ronald taunted loudly, loud enough for every engineer to look up and stare. "A janitor knows more than my team? Well then, if you're a genius, fix it." The words were meant to humiliate, not challenge, but humiliation had stopped scaring Arvin long ago. Being broke didn't scare him. Losing status didn't scare him. Only one thing truly terrified him, failing his daughter. And something in him whispered that if he walked away from this moment, he'd be failing himself too. So Arvin stepped forward, his palms sweating, his heart thundering like the engine itself. The engineers watched in tight disbelief as he approached the machine. He didn't touch anything at first, he simply listened. The machine hummed like a struggling heartbeat, each vibration telling a story of imbalance. He studied the wiring, the overloaded conduits, the misaligned calibration rods. And then, with a kind of gentle certainty, he reached into the open panel and adjusted the one component no one else had bothered to test. A soft click echoed through the testing hall. The machine steadied, inhaling a smoother breath than it had in months. The hum transformed, clean, powerful, whole. Silence fell, then gasps, then awe. No one moved for a full 6 seconds. Then Ronald's face twisted in a cocktail of shock and anger because brilliance from someone he underestimated felt like an insult to his pride. But before he could respond, the head engineer, Dr. Selina Rawthorne, hurried forward. She had quiet eyes, sharp intuition, and a reputation for finding truth even when others tried to bury it. How did you know?" she asked softly. Arvin swallowed. "The coil vibrates off-tempo. You can hear it if you step back far enough. Sometimes being too close hides the real problem." Selina stared at him as if he had just solved more than a mechanical issue. Ronald forced a laugh. Beginner's luck. But the room no longer believed him. From that moment, everything changed, slowly at first, then all at once. Selina requested Arvin be reassigned to prototype support despite Ronald's visible irritation. HR tried to block it, but Selina fought back, citing his extraordinary skill. The union approved. And within a week, Arvin traded his mop cart for a workstation badge with his name etched properly for the first time in years. Arvin's life didn't magically become perfect overnight. Ariel still woke from nightmares calling for her mother. Bills still pressed against his chest every month, and some employees still whispered that he didn't belong. But something had awakened inside him, a long-buried conviction that he was not done becoming who he was meant to be. Selina became more than his manager, she became his mentor. She watched him with the kind of respect he wasn't used to receiving, asking questions instead of giving orders, trusting his instincts even when they were unconventional. And Arvin, who once doubted every decision he made outside of parenting, started uncovering brilliance he forgot he had. The breakthrough came during a high-stakes demonstration day. Investors and board members crowded the hall as Ronald strutted around like a showman. The prototype roared to life for its big reveal, and for a moment, everything went perfectly. Then, without warning, the engine convulsed violently, sparks exploding outward. The room erupted in screams. Engineers scrambled behind barriers. A burning smell filled the air, and Ronald froze. Only one person ran toward the danger. Arvin. He heard Ariel's voice in his mind. "Daddy, you're brave even when you don't feel brave." And with that truth fueling him, he leapt forward, slid under the machine, and manually disconnected the unstable power conduit. The engine fell silent instantly. Smoke drifted like haunted fog as the crowd stared wide-eyed at the man who had saved not only the machine, but everyone in the room. Selina knelt beside him, checking his hands for burns, her voice trembling with gratitude. "You saved us," she whispered, but Arvin shook his head. "I just didn't want anyone to get hurt." The investors were impressed. The board took notice. Ronald, however, seethed, his grip on power slipping with every second. Arvin proved himself valuable. In a petty, desperate move, Ronald tried one last time to sabotage him. He dragged Arvin into a private meeting and presented a falsified report, claiming Arvin had tampered with the prototype before the demonstration. A crime that could cost him his job and his future. But Ronald underestimated two things: Selina's integrity and Arvin's resilience. Selina burst into the meeting with security camera evidence proving Arvin's innocence and revealing Ronald had purposefully signed off on unsafe testing to meet deadlines. The board was horrified. The vote was unanimous. Then Ronald's face twisted in a cocktail of shock and anger, because brilliance from someone he underestimated felt like an insult to his pride. But before he could respond, the head engineer, Dr. Selina Rawthorne, hurried forward. She had quiet eyes, sharp intuition, and a reputation for finding truth even when others tried to bury it. Ronald was removed from his position before the day ended.